Okay, here we go. Something that brings me joy. This is an old jelly cupboard, and it was in a farmhouse in Penticton decades ago, like 60 years ago. And it was bought by a lady who refinishes furniture, and she redid it, she painted it, distressed it, and I bought it. It has the original color paint, orange, still inside. This jelly cupboard brings me joy. It really does. Every morning when I come out of my bedroom and walk into the living room and I see this cupboard, I smile. So there's my object that brings me joy. So when you're doing your journal entry today, writing about something that brings you joy, you can go ahead and just start writing, or you can use some of these sentence starters to give you a place to start. Please remember to train your brain with your writing to use your capitals at the start of sentences and end your sentences with punctuation. And also trying to start your sentences with different words. So you can see here for the prompts, I've started it because I don't know what your object is. But once you start writing, try to put some different sentence starters in there so that your writing sounds more interesting and not repetitive, not the same. So I'm going to start. You saw my little video of the jelly cupboard. So I'm going to say, let's just start here. Something that brings me joy is. There's my capital S. I'm leaving finger spaces between each word. Something that brings me joy is the old jelly cupboard in my living room. Period. That's the end of my first idea. I'll go to the next one. I like it because it reminds me of my grandmother. Period. My grandmother now is 93 years old. She lives in a home in Summerland. She's been married to my grandpa for 73 years. He's 95. He still lives at home. Anyways, they raised 6 children. They met each other actually in the war. My grandpa was in the Navy and my grandma was a nurse. And so they met each other during the wartime. They both survived and came back, had 6 children, and worked really hard workers. So I like it because it reminds me of my grandmother. So I grew up on an apple orchard. She used to can fruits. So she'd can pears, apricots, cherries, and then she'd store them so that we could eat them through the winter when the fruit wasn't in season. So she used to can fruits and make jams and jellies. So something that brings me joy is the old jelly cupboard in my living room. I like it because it reminds me of my grandmother. She used to can fruits and make jams and jellies. I imagine she used an old cupboard like this to store her jars. Period. There you go. So, I forgot to talk about our strategy. Hopefully you remember, if you don't know how to spell a word, don't let that stop you from writing down your fabulous ideas. Just go ahead and try to spell it. And if you're not sure if it's right, just underline it. That way I know that you gave it a try. So for example, I might say, I imagine she used an old cupboard like this to store her jars. I bet it was fabulous. Let's say I don't know how to spell fabulous. Fabulous. Underline it just to show you're not sure. There you go. So your job today is to make a journal entry. Grade 3s, you can shoot for a whole paragraph. So that could be anywhere from upwards of 10 sentences. Grade 2s, you're going for at least 5 sentences. So don't forget capitals, periods, or punctuation at the end, and then go back and read your writing to yourself to make sure it makes sense. The best way I know how to do that is to read it back out loud to myself. Remember, you can't breathe until there's punctuation. So if you haven't included a period throughout your whole entire writing, you're not allowed to take a breath the whole entire time. Trust me, it's difficult. Put your punctuation in there. It's like a little tiny stop sign in your writing. Have fun with this. I can't wait to see what types of items you chose, something that brings you joy. You can include a picture on FreshGrade if you want, or take a picture of your journal entry and post it on there too. Bye.